guys, Slow Fatty here. Here is the resource management guide for Rue Classic. Don't mind my character in the background. There's a ×2 accessory drop event today, or this week rather. So I'm farming some accessories here, right? Would be nice if they did a card drop event as well, but you know, maybe one day. Now, before we start, I want you to understand the concept of value and finite resources. Value is pretty simple and straightforward. It's the value of the item per gold spent. Finite resources is basically the limited amount that you can purchase a week, and both of these plus the amount of gold you can get per week as a free-to-play player or a spender is going to judge whether something is worth the buy or not. So first here, the gold. Let's go ahead and start with the must buy. So if we go into the shop, right, we go into gold. One of the first ones we buy here is Heart of Valor. Now this is like really crucial because again, in your barding, this is what gives you a lot of the PvP stats. This is what gives you a lot of this as well. And just as an extra tip, by the way, for context, right, in terms of value, since you're already here and I want to give you as much value as I can give you, the top right here, you can see PvP damage bonus plus 240, right? Sounds really good, but one thing you should take into consideration, right now my bottom right barding is 29. That means that actually before this, you can already get this right here, the medium enemies damage plus 4%. So for context, if you go to your stats right now and you go into PvP, your PvP damage reduction here, or damage in general, plus or minus 300 results in a 4% damage reduction, and for damage, it results in a 4% damage change. So what does that mean? To put that into perspective, if you look at the top right, really good value still, definitely should still get it to 29 at least, but the bottom right, if you look at the bottom right here, it already gives you damage versus medium enemies, and you don't even really need to take it to 29 to get that result, right? So versus medium enemies, you're already dealing enough damage that equates to what would be a 300 PvP damage difference. And if you look it up here, it's up to 240. Granted, the PvP damage bonus and the PvP damage reduction also affects the small enemies, which is like the Dorems. But again, the bottom right also gives you 2% from off the bat, right? So, and the same thing with the top left, right? This is why you want to max out your Heart of Valor. So moving on, after that, obviously a lot of the feathers, right? All of these feathers, buy this out, buy this out. The only thing that you really think of as like optional is this right here, the purple feather box. In the short term, this is really good, especially if you're trying to gear up as much as you can for the tier cup, you want more ignore PDEF or MDEF, you could dismantle these and then craft them into like day feathers, right? But the problem is, like, in terms of value, if you're dismantling this, it comes out to around like 160 gold per day feather, which is, again, it's already 60 more expensive than the light dark feather chest, right? So that's one thing to consider. Me personally, I don't really buy this one because I feel like it's too expensive. But the next one I need to buy here, obviously, is going to be Mora coin, right? So Mora coins, it's really the only way to level your enchants, right? So if you want steady progression week per week on your Mora coins, you need to buy this out if you can, right? Or at least as much of it as you can if you're a free-to-play player, right? I already did a roundup of how much you spend or how much you can earn as a free-to-play player in my previous video if you want to check that out. But yeah, this is one of the must-buys for sure because, again, it's steady progression into the late game, right? This is progression that you can't really rush. You can't even whale this out if you wanted to because, again, everybody is going to be capped per week. And as for the other branch, one of the things that I buy here is definitely the purple star coins. Reason being is because, like, for every 50 that you craft, it also gives you these right here, purple card redeem token, and you can use these to redeem purple cards in the card shop, right? So like 100 of these would give you, say, like a skeleton worker or a hydra or a therafrog card, right? So pretty big value on these. And of course, there's also the chance of you getting a purple card with that as well. So and then after that, the other things that you can buy here is this right here, blessed weapon ore and blessed armor ore, right? So these are very limited per week, and if you buy them with any other currency besides this, it can get a little bit expensive, and it's pretty limited as well, even with the regular event. So I do recommend buying these, especially if you're still just working up on your gear, or you're trying to get to like the plus 15s, because eventually, you know, accessories, eventually they're gonna have like plus 15 bonuses, and also just steady progression in terms of gear. My advice for this though is try not to overinvest in refining. So when you get these like every week, what you want to do is, if you're run out of like weapon ores or blessed armor ores, then you just stop right there. Stop gambling, stop risking your gear. Another tip as well is, if you have an excess of these armor ores, what you could do is plus 15 your shield and then just transfer it over to a weapon, if you want to do that one, if you have an excess of these. But that's entirely up to you. But for the gold shop, that is all we really are concerned about for the most part here, right? Oh, actually, before I forget, fame boxes. So I see a lot of you bidding like 200 gold per light dark feather on the guild auction. Please don't do that. That's so expensive. Like, regardless if you're full spending or you're free to play, you have a finite amount of gold per week. Instead of spending 200 gold on these like feathers on the guild auction, buy the fame boxes instead, right? Fame boxes give you medals, right? Instead of me like full sending on feathers, I full send it on this instead. Look at that. 200 P attack, M attack, right? Medal of Heroism, 30% P damage plus 860 health. And now I'm up to my like magic reduction now, right? So it's such big value. To put this into context, P attack 200, M attack 200. If you look at my weapon right now, my weapon at base here gives it 314. The value that I get from my medals is almost a weapon's worth. Kind of crazy, you know what I mean? 2/3 of the value of a yellow divine armament. Pretty nuts, pretty good, pretty big value, right? So why not? Instead of, trying to gamble it with refines, or even paying twice the market price for light and dark feathers, right? So that's another thing. And then the other one that people ask about a lot is Zeni. What do you spend money on, like in terms of Zeni? So first of all, I'm going to go into the growth here. So the most required ones that you absolutely must buy every week, and I mean every week, you need to buy Heart of Valor. Max this out every week. Again, big stats, very limited type of resource, very finite resource, and very high value, especially in the lower levels when you're trying to get everything to 29, for example, right? Next is Mora coins. I max out Mora coins as much as I can, right? And then the Eleniums and Eridicons, I max these out too. And so another key thing about this, by the way, is like buying these is actually pretty crucial. The armor one could be optional. I would still recommend buying it. As for the Star Diamond, this one's for the weapons, right? So it's huge, because like if you look at your weapon, you go to enhance, and you look at this right here, you can see that it actually adds ignore P-Def. So this is very valuable, because ignore P-Def is kind of like really scarce right now because of the limitations that we have with feathers. So I would 100% recommend this, and just start upgrading your weapon, right? Start upgrading your rings as well, or your accessories, because yeah, again, the path to ignore P-Def, ignore M-Def, it's very limited, it's very scarce. So the moment that you have enough stacking of it is when you really get that like huge like boost in power for your class. So just make sure that you buy those, right? Even if they only net you like 1 upgrade or 2 upgrades, I think it's still worth it, because number one, not only does it give you the penetration that you need, but also if you look into here, this one right here, right? And then the other thing that I buy as well is the purple feather optional box. Since I don't buy the gold ones, I buy these ones right here. Because what this does for me, at least when I buy it, is it helps me level up my valor, right? It helps me level up my grace or my justice feathers, right? To at least like, if I can get them to like level 10-ish, like around that value, right? Which is already pretty solid, pretty good. But what it can do in the future, once you've like been really close to maxing out your purple feathers naturally, because you get a lot of it from other events, then you can dissolve it to craft day feathers, right? So it's not the most cost efficient in terms of like dismantling it, but once your purple feathers are very close to max out, or like really big like diminishing returns after a certain point, right? Then what you can do at that point is just dismantle them. Work on your day feathers. Day feathers are so limited that it's kind of hard. The limit on day feathers literally changed how I approached my feathers, right? Because ignore P-Def, ignore M-Def is so limited now because of that limit, which is a good thing, by the way. I'm glad that they actually set those limits. That way people can't just like wail on them, right? So, but these are the things that you should be spending your Zeni on. As for consumables, Igberries, by the way, they work in Emp Overrun, right? So if you want to try hard Emp Overrun, you could always have that choice. And then the next thing that you buy from here is also the Bloody Branches. So what can you do with weekly Bloody Branches? Right? So for Bloody Branches, let's say you have a 40-man guild, for example, right? If 40 of you buy 35 of these every single week, and then you summon them all together using like level 1 skill, so everybody gets a hit, everybody's in the same party, in the same raid, right? And you guys get a hit, it adds to your monster research. So that's the secret to really bumping up your monster research like really quickly. And you can see from my bosses here, right? Like, look at this, level 10, right? Level 10. Again, it's just like just going through all the mini bosses here. This guy, level 10, right? Like, and it's so easy because, like, let's say, for example, this undead right here, if you're trying to MR some more, look at this, like Anubis, level 10, Dark Priest, level 10. Now you only have to like grind this, right? And I'm coping really hard on Skeleton Worker right now, so it's almost at max. So I just need to level these two, right? That's one of the reasons why you would want to buy the Bloody Branches, because again, it's so high value and it levels your entire guild. So you, your friends, your community, you guys can help each other in that way. At a very, very small price, you can get that advantage and you can get those stats that last and scale all along the way, right? That's what I would recommend in terms of your Zeni spending. And another thing too, what I get a lot of is the social shops. So for social shops, again, let's go Heart of Valor. Again, finite resource, really good stats, max this out. This is your main priority every single week. And then next here is the guild tokens. This is also a finite, like scarce resource, right? And these are also offering you permanent stats as well. And then the next one after that is the day-night feathers. This is pretty obvious. Like, we really need the ignore MDef, PDef here for DPSs. And the night tier as well can help for a little bit there with the defensive builders. Eventually, once you get these unlocked, this is going to be pretty much a must buy, right? As much as you can. This is a pretty much a must buy. This is pretty expensive, but if you can afford it after all of these, then you can go ahead for that as well. But the thing about like sky feathers is you should really just allot like maybe one feather slot for them, or at most two, because they're going to be really hard to scale up. But again, you know, if you're still getting it in a reliable amount like every week, then eventually they'll start to compound, right? And then you'll start to having that option of like more and more ignore PDef, ignore MDef, that eventually you can replace like the light feather, for example, in your DPS tree, right? Another thing that I buy here every week, because I've been spending this whole time farming Scale Worker and coping that I'm gonna get one, maybe, potentially, but I take this one because this is really, really effective for mitigation, and for the most part, it's free. Right? It's just 10k a week that you spend on it, and then you can start scaling it up if you want to. That way, until eventually when you get another Thara Frog card, then you can have like 2 Tharas, right? And this one, although not as good as like an actual Thara Frog card, still offers a decent amount of mitigation, right? Especially if you're not super lucky. And then the other things that you should buy as like an optional is the cards. If you need Greatest General cards, you can buy them here. If you need like a Wraith card, you can buy them here. Because again, if you're not so lucky with snapping, like myself, with my ping, kind of hard to snap these things, right? And beyond that is not everything here is really all that worth it. And then if you have any extra purple star coins, right, you can never really go wrong with them. Moral coins, expensive, yes, but again, sure progression. You can't really regret sure progression in this game, right? Because it lasts you all throughout the game and it scales. So you can't really say no to scaling, right? And then union coins. So at the very bottom here, day night is what I buy. You're only like capped out at around 5k a week, right? You can get 1k a day. If you're to buy this right here, 10, this is already 1.5k, right? And if you were to buy this, for example, purple star coins, 2.5k. So you're really left with 1k if you decide to buy these. The only other things that you should consider buying here is if you need a Mantis card, if you're a physical class, Choco card, if you're trying to get it for cheap via mitigation, right? Also a solid choice, right? Always a solid choice. If you want to do a little bit more damage to the water Nightmare Temple boss, Draenlier, also an option. Wouldn't be my priority though. And then Mars cards, right? This is good for, again, NT, the water boss, or it's also good for GVGs when you have people spamming Stormgust, right? Another thing that you should buy here too is, this is I'm a little skeptical about this. I'd say this one is really optional because it's 800 per. You only get like 5k a week, so you can't even buy the whole thing even if you wanted to. So it's like, this one's a bit of a wait for a buff angle, right? And if you have 1k left after buying this and after buying this, then you can choose to buy more Mora coins. Or, you know, I wouldn't really buy these. These are really expensive for the amount, but they are free if you are farming union coins anyway. But again, these are the things that you should try to buy because, again, this is big gains, right? Once you start starring this up, you buy this like once a week, and then you buy it from the shop. Really good scaling if you're a physical class. This one's really good mitigation, right? Even in global, people still use this, I believe. And then this. also solid, right? Right. But your main priority, day and night feathers. Everything else is sort of optional. And since you made it to the end of the video, one advice I can give you guys as thank you for staying all the way is remember these. These medals, by the way, you can reset these. So what you can do if you have high amount of medals, reset all of them and then level them all up evenly. Why? Because if you look at power up here and you look at progress and we go over to medals, as you can see, all the way up here to 140, I've gotten all the 140s. Eventually, when you get even more medals, and especially now with the level 99 pet one being unlocked, you can start investing medals into these and even get this to like 160 here, right? So as a test, let me just do it for you here. So let me reset this, and let me reset this, and let me reset this, and see if we can make it. It's pretty cheap to reset as well. So let's start with like a level 20. Let's do level 20 on this as well. So if I paid attention to my math classes, like 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, right? So we're pretty close. Right, let's do another fiber here. Another 5. There you go. Another 5. Right? There you go. One more maybe. And did we get it? Yes, we did. And now we have all of them. And now it's complete. And now we just got extra 2k off of that. And if you didn't do this before, now you know. Now you do it. You're going to get a lot more than I did. And then after all of this, all I got to do in this instance is reset it. Watch this thing like bug out and I can actually reset it. Oh my god. Anyway, so reset this. Reset that. And then I'm going to take this all the way to 40 again. Right? Because we're smoothing our way all the way to progression here. So 40, boom, 40. And then we get this one to 30, right? And because we had that extra 2k earlier, maybe I want a little bit of percentage gain. Maybe I toss that in there, right? Or maybe I toss it here. Oh, you never know. But anyway, that's one way to do it. And hopefully this helps. And this answers quite a bit of questions because I know I get these questions a lot. And, you know, I do think that it's a video that people might appreciate. And if you did, like, comment, subscribe. Love y'all. Catch you guys in the next video.